Hello, dear friends. I welcome everyone presently watching Sotnik-TV. It's May 13th, 2020. You are watching our Wednesday live news show. It's 1 past 8 Moscow time, so I'm a bit late, which sometimes happens. Unfortunately, the news we receive every day clearly illustrate the idea of Russia moving straight into the middle of upheaval. These are some short facts. The current number of health workers in Russia is around 268,000 people. Let me remind you that the official number of citizens in Russia is around 140 million people. Although I have never believed that number. From 2017, the healthcare staff in Russia has decreased by 42%, according to recent data by the State Court of Audit. On the other hand, the number of those employed in Russian security forces is over 2.6 million people, which is 10 times more than the number of medics inside the country. Those numbers clearly demonstrate the true colors of Russian governance system. It aims not to treat, but to kill. It doesn't aim to create, but to break and to damage. It aims to lie. They have changed their words recently and are now saying the coronavirus is not that bad. So official reports are now giving new numbers of those infected. Russian mass media have changed their minds and are now reporting the following. The number of community-acquired pneumonia cases in St. Petersburg exceeds the norm more than 5 times. According to Alexander Sotnik, the head of the city, the total number of the infected citizens now exceeds 11,000. In addition to the coronavirus, we are facing the outbreak of community-acquired pneumonia cases, if we compare that to the data for the previous years. During the week, this number exceeded the norm by a factor of 5.5. Starting May 1st, 11,223 people contracted community-acquired pneumonia. 5,924 of them recovered and 694 died, according to Mr. Beglov's yearly report to the city council he gave on Wednesday. Oh, is it right, Mr. Beglov? Could anyone suppose community-acquired pneumonia? Well, now we all can clearly see it. That's what everyone really needs to discuss now instead of some coronavirus. So many things happen that it's hard to keep up with the ongoing events. Those in Kremlin are in a great rush, trying to push new laws through that are required for them to stay at power. So today Russian state parliament has adopted a law that will allow citizens to vote by mail and on the government services web portal. Don't you doubt that now the portal won't go offline, as when people were trying to apply for the allowance on it. The changes will be made to Articles 37 and 38 of the Federal Law of Russian Citizens' Basic Voting Rights and the Right for a Referendum. Changing the law in such way, in fact, eliminates the voting procedures, as well as any referendums. It now turns any elections in Russia into a total fake. Once before that, the authorities had to simulate an electoral process, spending their money to bribes for the people who would falsify voting results, buying off police officers and election board members. Now they will use that law to declare whatever results they want. Such a powerful strike on a state, unless there is still something remaining of a state in Russia. I guess the rest of the world is now looking at Russia as at some failed state, and an object that is now vanishing from the legal field. Still it poses a threat, claiming some world leadership. They want leadership in what? In the number of crimes? In the aggression on the global stage? They will sure break down sooner or later. Still, they will bring as much trouble as they can. Long after they are gone, the world will witness the results of their deeds. That may possibly be something radioactive. Almost 2 years ago, I had a talk with Andrei Shipilov, a blogger. Still, I remember he saying back then that many of those watching our show would be dead in 5 to 6 years. I didn't feel well after those words. So I have decided to return to that conversation amid the current pandemic. I wanted to know what kind of disaster Mr. Shipilov was talking about back then. Andrei, 2 years ago you said during one of our shows that many of those watching us back then would be dead in 6 years. You said that some circumstances may soon occur. Did you know anything about the coronavirus pandemic back then? I didn't know anything about the coronavirus pandemic. Still, I realized what kind of situation the Earth had ended up in due to many reasons, one of which was Russia. I saw that the entire system of checks and balances in the global economy was heavily damaged. So I supposed some events were coming that would be impossible to deal with for the entire system. That could have been a natural disaster, or a pandemic, or anything else. We're now facing the coronavirus pandemic, and I don't really consider it the biggest problem among those that are still coming. The next time the mankind will face a new challenge that will be even more difficult to oppose. Well, you're looking at what's going on. Now it's Donald Trump attacking Laos. A lot of bad things are on. So the mankind will get less and less capable of facing new affronts. So the problem will intensify. Okay, what do you think about the measures taken by Russian authorities to oppose the pandemic? Do you find those reasonable, as well as the steps by Vladimir Putin himself? I don't really think that any unified measures were in fact taken. These are not just my words. A lot of sources report that Vladimir Putin, or a great chief as some people call him, has now excluded himself from the governance process. He has been destroying the political system inside his country for decades. He got rid of every specialist and of every clever person who made something of himself. Such people were removed from the system, and many of them left the country. They were replaced by loyal, dumb, and narrow-minded morons. They are easy to rule, yet unable to deal with any problems the system is facing. So what we see now is the result of Putin's 20-year policy of destroying the governance system in Russia. I've discussed the current events and possible scenarios for Russia with Alina Vitukhnovskaya, a politician and writer. The Prime Minister of Russia got infected, and so did the President's spokesman. The President himself is isolated, so is there anyone presently in charge of the country? The power over the country has in fact moved to the coronavirus. This is now the only real power and the aspect that demonstrates how things really work around here. Our government turns out useless. It turns out unable to take any measures. As always, the authorities choose the worst option possible. Russia is in the middle of pandemic. The country has now moved to the second position among the world states. Still, the authorities are downsizing the actual number of infection cases by 70%. And are telling people they may now go to work. Russians were afraid of a digital prison. but have now ended up in a real labor camp. The authorities are trying to restore the economy by means of dead bodies, as those going to work now are in fact putting themselves at deadly risk. Now, regarding the story of the Prime Minister and Kremlin spokesman infected, I don't know that for sure, but I suppose they are likely to be infected. This demonstrates the real number of those infected and the real danger the virus poses. What scenario do you expect for Russia and its ordinary citizens in the near future? What will people face after Putin returns from his self-isolation? They will face disease and poverty. They won't have no chance to escape it. The official statistic is now downsized. They will keep downsizing it as Putin needs his approval rating to grow. If they let people off quarantine in the middle of the pandemic, such people are likely to get infected. Doesn't this make sense? Once those people are sick and the rest of us know they are, Putin's approval rate will drop. That's why we won't see any more articles about people infected. So not only will those people face disease and poverty, but also no chance of being heard officially, which means no chance of escaping that. People will have to save themselves on their own. Such scenario may lead to a revolution, even though I doubt that Russians are still able to revolt. Thank you for watching the show. Take care of your hearts and souls. Please know that we're always there, working for you. So make sure to watch Sotnik-TV.